Elections aren't perfect. We all know that. But what truly shocks us is the amount of money spent campaigning. OpenSecrets.org says that about $6 billion was spent during the 2012 US election, and perhaps $8 billion will be spent in 2016. The Electoral Commission in the UK, they say that around £35 million is spent campaigning during a typical British election. So it's no wonder that everyday people like plumbers, teachers, or nurses don't win elections. But not many women do either, or disabled people, or people under the age of 40. It's called representative democracy, but it's actually not very representative of the population at all. If you pick a parliamentarian at random, more than likely that parliamentarian will be an old, white man who is far better off than you or me. Of course, not all of them, just most of them. And what about when they get in office? Why do banks and other large corporations donate huge amounts of money to political parties? Surely they don't do it for some sense of democratic duty. I mean, banks aren't charities. They expect a good return on their investment. Then there's the big media conglomerates. Television and newspaper coverage can make or break a politician. The way they portray stories and politicians can have a big influence on public opinion. Every political heavyweight wants to be on friendly terms with the media barons, if they can. And what about all those lobbyists? Don't get us wrong. Free speech, it's really important. But big corporations, they spend millions of dollars employing professional lobbyists to gut laws they don't like. That must undermine our democracy. But do you ever wonder how this spider's web of constraints affects the laws that are made? We do. At the Sortition Foundation, we think that the root cause is the process of election itself. Here's what Aristotle said about election. It is thought to be democratic for the officers of government to be assigned by lot, for them to be elected oligarchic. Or Montesquieu, selection by lot is in the nature of democracy. Selection by choice is in the nature of aristocracy. And Rousseau, it will be seen why the drawing of lots is more in the nature of democracy. In an aristocracy, voting is appropriate. The democratic form of selection since the time of ancient Athens was sortition. From every citizen who wanted, most of the office bearers and lawmakers would be chosen using random selection. And when, in British Columbia and Canada in 2004, they wanted to change their electoral law, guess how they did it? They used sortition to populate a convention that came up with a new proposal. At the Irish Constitutional Convention a few years ago, 2/3 of the attendees were selected using sortition. At the G1000 in Belgium and in policy juries, people's panels, modern citizens' assemblies, all across the globe, attendees of democratic forums are being selected using sortition. Of course, they get expert advice and they deliberate together and then they develop policies. The good news is that the process works. People trust the outcomes. And this is what we need now to tackle the big issues that our politicians can't because of all those constraints we mentioned before. We need a real democracy, a democracy where half the lawmakers are women and half are men, where some of them are young and some of them are old, a parliament composed of people just like you and me. The citizens' assemblies have proven again and again that everyday people can make intelligent and informed decisions. These decisions are the decisions that everyone would make if we all had access to balanced information and the time to digest it and the chance to deliberate about it with others in a fair and respectful environment. We at the Sortition Foundation believe that a truly representative democracy can make laws that are legitimate and that people will respect and trust them. We believe that it's time for a democracy of the people, by the people, and for the people. So join the movement for a real democracy. Sign up now at www.sortitionfoundation.org.